Yeah, I'm trying. I feel like a poser sometimes with that coffee
Man,
machine.
you're only a poser until you get so good at it, you're no longer one.
Cool. Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome to actually newly retitled. I've been thinking about the title of this podcast. It was Conversations with Passionate People, and that's just too long for me. So we're calling it Pros and Cons, where we're talking about conversations with professionals. And so just a little punnery there. But hey, welcome to the show, Sharath. So excited to have you, man. Why don't you just give a short intro of where you're calling in from today?
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Also, professional. Wow, that's awesome. Sometimes I don't think of myself as one, and it's always good to be reminded by people looking outside that I am a professional, right?
You are, man. You're professional with that
Yeah,
Microsoft North Face
and
swag, dude. Come on, man.
I know. This is from my last job. I was cold in here, but yeah, I'm Sharath. Last name Abraham. I live in Jersey, right outside of New York City. But I'm one of those like folks that don't claim New York City, right? You know, like when you come around, like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, New York City, and then they're actually from like Jersey or they're
Hmm.
actually from Long Island, and
Sure.
not actual Manhattan, right? So
Yeah.
I live just far enough away from the city where I don't get into too much trouble.
I like the way you put that out there. I'm from Jersey. I mean, Jersey's cool too. We love
Jersey,
the East
yeah.
Coast,
I don't know why some Jersey folks don't claim Jersey. Jersey's popping.
Jersey's, yeah.
Nobody knows. Yeah,
Now,
yeah,
are you
yeah.
born and raised in Jersey or?
No, I was actually born in India, and
Oh,
once I was
nice.
born in India, my mom and dad moved right to Abu Dhabi, which is in United Arab Emirates, which
Okay.
a lot of people know them for Dubai. And then when I was 7, my dad was like, "Hey, we're gonna go to America and live
Hmm.
with your aunt for a bit, and we're gonna figure out that." And I'm like, "Okay, cool, Dad. Guess
Yeah.
that's a plan."
Yeah. So, and
But
been here
yeah.
ever since then.
Yeah, been here ever since and never actually moved out of Jersey. I mean, it's always one of the there's just so like I don't know, there's just so much like I've never gotten bored with where I live in Jersey because
Yeah.
New York City is right there, and then, if you drive somewhere, you just gotta go west or south, and that
Hmm.
was it. That's all I did in college, road tripping places, but you can't.
Where'd you go to school? Where'd you go to college?
NJIT in Newark. So
Okay.
NJIT in Newark, New Jersey is a
Mhm.
very commuter type school where not a lot of
Yeah.
people stay
Uh,
on campus.
okay.
But I did choose to stay on campus, and then every weekend, my friends and my frat brothers and I would just get in a car and drive to another school. Right? You can go to
Pack and
upstate
party.
New.
Pack and
Yeah, yeah,
party.
yeah. You go to upstate New York. You can go to Penn State. If you go
That's
south, you
cool.
could go to North Carolina. One time we took a trip all the way to Tennessee to visit somebody at the University of Tennessee. So it was
Nice.
always fun.
Beautiful
And
campus, by the way, University of
yeah, it
Tennessee.
is. It
I
is.
I went to Western Kentucky, which was it's not the Kentucky, but it's it's not too far from Tennessee. We're like 45 minutes. So yeah,
Yeah,
Tennessee, Vanderbilt, got to see some of those
all big
campuses.
ones. Were you
Yeah.
born here? Were you born in America?
So from born and raised in the Bay Area, actually,
Nice.
right outside of Oakland. Similar. The Bay Area has a little different. Like if you're within the Tri-City area, you can kind of claim the Bay. Like I don't live in Stockton, or I don't live like, and anyone listening from Stockton, that's no dig on you. It's just you're in the valley, my guy.
So you're a big you grew up on E40 and Mac
Oh,
Dre and
bro, Too
Keep the
Short.
Sneak, Too Short.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
a
yeah.
part of the whole hyphy movement, man. I
The
was
hyphy, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I never and this is a mature audience. Fizz, like everyone was thizzing, and the
Mm.
T that whole movement. I was never a
Yeah, yeah.
fizzler, but I was, throwing up the
He was in it.
yeah,
Doing little dance,
yeah.
right? The West Coast dances.
Don't
I
catch me
know
on
it.
the dance floor. That's one thing my
Yeah.
wife loves, but also like really embarrassed about. Like I will go
Oh,
crazy.
really? Yeah, same. Same. I'm the same. I'm that guy that'll dance even if I'm the only one on the dance floor.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
the if the if
So my cousin, Carla's cousin, my wife, my family now, she married an Indian guy. So
Mhm.
we got to do the whole Indian wedding, and you know how those get down, like 7 days of events.
Mhm.
Well, they did it in Greece, and they invited, I guess, a big singer. I wish I could remember the name.
Okay.
But this dude was sick. Like he brought his whole band,
Mhm.
Indian, like I don't know. It wasn't pop. It wasn't R&B. It wasn't hip hop, but it was good music.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
everyone starts off on the dance floor. They had this guy for like 4 hours. It was like a 4 hour concert with 60 people, and you imagine just family and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
after like hour two was like slowing down, but my guy, the singer, was giving it his all. So I was like,
He's
man,
just
if this
in it.
guy's gonna go
Yeah.
hard, I'm gonna give it back to him. So there I was, the only dude on the dance floor, just hitting
That's
all the.
hilarious. You know what's funny? You mentioned like an Indian wedding. So when I got engaged, my best friends, one's Dominican and
Mhm.
one is Colombian Ecuadorian. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna get like the 7-day wedding. We're gonna get the horses and
Yeah,
the
they were
big
hyped.
party
Yep.
outside." And I was like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa! All right, first of all, I'm South Indian and I'm Christian. So what that means is we're gonna have a nice ceremony in a church. Y'all gonna
Yeah.
be wearing tuxes,
Uh,
right? My wife is
yeah.
gonna be wearing a white dress, and then we're gonna
Yeah.
go party it after party at
Sure.
reception, drinking." And they were like, they were just saying, so there's like no horses or like
There's,
elephants or let's get a Ferrari at least. I'm like, oh, chill out, though. I don't have that. I don't got money
they're
like that.
they're like, we're not friends anymore. Like that was
Yeah,
part of.
yeah, yeah,
That's funny. Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, so from the Bay, and I actually moved away to different parts of the world once I got
Oh,
older.
sweet.
So did a stint in Kentucky, then Hawaii. But yeah, man, today's about you though, because I
Oh,
find
yeah.
that I meet some really incredible people in my career, and I think one of the things, kind of growing up in my heritage, Mexican and Italian. Parents didn't graduate high school. Really hard to make it out of the neighborhood I was raised in, and so the emphasis of where this all comes from is that I love chatting with people who have amazing stories, and I've heard a little bit about your story, and I think it's a great one to share. I mean, we kind of got into it a little bit moving over from India when you were young, but let's maybe start there and set the framework. This is the first question I usually ask my guests, but when you were a kid, when someone asked you, what did you want to be when you grew up? What was the answer?
I wanted to be a pilot, like an
Okay,
airline, but not a regular, shout out to normal pilots that fly their
sure.
planes. I wanted to be in the Air Force or fly fast planes
Mm-hmm.
because I was so, when I was little, I was really trying to understand speed for some reason. I love
Mm-hmm.
cheetahs. I love fast
Mm.
cars, Lambos and Ferraris. I
Oh,
love the
sick.
fastest animal in the world, the peregrine falcon, right? Flight speeds. So eventually, the only thing that came to my mind that could fly fast or drive fast was either a really fast Ferrari or a
Mhm.
fast jet. But
Nice.
that all kind of changed once I came to America.
Okay, so this was the idea when growing up. So you came to America, and then what were you pursuing that at any point, like as a kid? Like,
No,
okay,
no. America was a culture shock.
okay,
I came from an environment where
mm,
I had an adjusted set of friends, an adjusted set of
mhm,
cultural norms, an adjusted
yeah,
set of language, an adjustment of
hmm,
intellectuality.
hmm,
What that means is I came to America and all the classes they put me in, I was killing it. Like math, science,
sure,
English, social studies. Because I think just the way studying or just education over
mm,
there is just way different than here. And because of that, I didn't understand that there was this untold social norm of being the smartest kid in the class is not the good thing, right?
mm,
So
hmm,
because of that, I was very socially awkward
mm.
due to the fact that I didn't understand the American kid social world of,
Bro,
you
it's
know,
crazy.
right?
That's crazy.
It is such a, and it was hard because my mom's theory was just put your head down, study hard,
Yeah,
work
grind it out.
hard, and
Yeah,
things will just get, things will
yeah,
eventually start happening.
yeah.
But as a kid, it's kind of hard to look into the future. It,
We
it's
don't.
it's a it's a tough
Yeah.
thing to say, if I grind now,
Yep.
eventually it'll pay off. And as a kid, the only thing
None
you
of that
want to be,
makes sense.
yeah, the only thing you want to do is just be accepted by the people in your
Yeah,
class,
and
right?
it's very sad that I think things are changing. To be fair, I feel like it's a little different now. But I think when
Oh,
we
it
were
is.
growing up, it was all about, if you were smart at all, you were considered a nerd. And it's such like reverse
Mhm.
psychology. It's like just
Yeah.
the cool kids, right? They just weren't smart, so they try to downgrade anything that didn't look or sound like them, which is
Yeah,
crazy.
something that they weren't good at, they try to make it a
Yeah,
weapon against other people.
kids,
But yeah, yeah, I didn't know
kids are
what I wanted
so
to be.
bad.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was like, I hate American kids. They're so mean.
When did it start feeling, or if it ever did you ever start catching like a sense of, okay, I'm starting to figure this out, sense of normalcy, kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
as you got older?
Once my dad enrolled me in rec basketball, where
Mm.
first day of practice, the coach is just saying, "All right, everyone get up in layup lines," and I had to
Yeah.
go tug on his shorts and be like, "What's a layup line?" So I, understanding sports, understanding the culture of even
Mm.
though we're all different, we're all
Mm-hmm.
playing to win together.
Yeah.
That eventually got deep into my brain of sports. Sports is
Mm-hmm.
the key for me to,
Hmm. Yeah.
connect with people.
Wow.
And that kind of just took off, right? And then
Mm-hmm.
I just dedicated all my time into basketball and
Mm-hmm.
school, and that is what changed. And then, then I get to middle school and I started understanding
Mm.
the social aspects of it, right? So
Yeah.
I spent 7th and 8th grade
Mm-hmm.
really just observing,
Okay,
just
that's smart.
because 7th and 8th grade, I went to a junior senior high school. So that means that 7th grade all the way to 12th are all in one school because of how
Oh,
small the
really?
town is. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh, wow.
So as a 7th grader, I have these freshmen, juniors, and sophomores and
Yeah.
seniors all
Oh,
in
that's even more. That's stressing me
the
out.
hallways and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would just
Kind
kind
of
of
watching the game.
observe,
Yeah.
which is what I do now professionally.
I was gonna say, I
Yeah,
feel like you still carry that quality, which is
yeah.
super
It's
cool.
any new environment I go into
Mhm.
professionally,
Yeah.
I always try and observe how people move and how
Mhm.
people talk and how people talk to other people.
Yeah.
And then you kind of start understanding the complexities of that social like circle you're in. But yeah,
Mhm.
once I got to 7th grade, and then 9th grade is what I would say when my coolness factor took
Yeah.
off,
Yeah.
where
Uh,
everything felt like, oh, people like me.
which is hard to I mean, you come off as a very cool guy, like, just
Oh, I was shy.
I see you at the so for context for everyone listening, I see Sharath a lot at these trade shows, and he is just
Mm,
somebody people gravitate towards too. It's just he's got this great gift where he's just easy to talk to, easy to get along, and so he's definitely there's that leadership kind of quality that's just natural for him. So that's interesting to know. This is great. This is why I love talking. That it wasn't for
yeah,
you
I'm.
always like that, but
I
and
was
I
super
think
shy.
yeah, what's cool is too, as I've actually talked to several guests who say that sports actually was that thing that launched them in on a path, whether it was like teamwork or understanding like camaraderie. So I love that
Mhm.
it's a similar
I,
foundation for you as well.
you know what's funny? If you
Hmm.
watch, who was it? The CTO or the CIO podcast from Netflix,
Hmm.
you start understanding Netflix's culture, and it's similar to being on a sports team
Wow.
where they find the best people out there
Hmm.
because they want to win championships,
Yep.
and then they hold each other accountable.
That's
When
tight.
if you ever play sports and you're doing drills
Hmm.
and your teammate's not doing the drill to their like 100%,
Hmm.
um, that's missing in
Hmm.
work.
Let's talk to me a little bit about that. Why do you, what? Because I have a whole lot of I've got some
That's
thoughts there.
missing in work, and
Why?
it's
Why is
gotten
it?
worse
Why is it? Tell me, just go right to it. Why is that?
because everyone gets a salary and everyone has a different goal for what they're trying to achieve, and not everyone's on that same goal. When you start
Self.
practice before the season starts, your goal is state championship,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Yep.
So everyone is there, and if I'm a
We're going.
guard,
Yep.
yeah,
Keep going. Keep
if I'm
going.
a
Let me hear it.
guard and I see my center not
Hmm.
rebounding, I'm gonna call him
Hmm.
out. So
Yep.
if I'm in a team meeting and I see one of my coworkers
Hmm.
not putting in the effort that I think they should be, I'm gonna call them out. And I
Hmm.
think it's not frowned upon to call people out.
Well, it's frowned upon because people have too much pride in the industry, I think, and they think
Right.
that by you calling them out that it is going to look bad on them in some way, and everyone is
And yeah, and
unfortunately feeling like you're after my job or you're after my
yeah,
position, you're after my win that I'm trying to accomplish, and you're just trying to make yourself look good. And I
yeah,
think the second thing that you brought out that I think is fixable though is that not all companies do a great job of disseminating the high level goals of the company.
yeah,
Meaning,
yeah,
these corporations and companies are getting too big now, where yes, it is very just hey, this is what we do. Here are our goals. And
Mhm.
we talk about them. Like January's coming up. Everyone's setting goals for FY25. There'll be this huge hype in the beginning of the year in
Mhm.
January where you get these 5 goals. And it's like, okay, great. But we don't carry or hold ourselves accountable to those goals. Those goals are then given to a department, and then
Mhm.
departments are looking out for themselves. These are department head. And then that's trickling down to directors. And then those goals are then everyone is just trying to make themselves look good on those levels that I've just kind of broken down. And so to your point, there isn't this team mentality. Like there should be no subset of goals. There should be high level goals that we're
Mhm.
all can draw back to. And I just think sometimes the communication within organizations isn't great. And
It's
that's where it
not.
starts to fall apart.
Yeah, and also the goalpost changes throughout the year, which me personally, I think is the wrong way. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I agree.
you
It's
know,
frustrating. It
if
changes.
if and it's okay to change, but I never see a good valid reason or data sets on why the change is needed.
Yeah.
So, for example, if we're playing, if in the beginning of the year we're like, okay, we're all gonna go man
Hmm.
defense.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing. Basketball reference, man defense. We're all playing man. After 3 games, we realize that we're just not fast enough to be man. Let's pivot to a 2-3 zone. But we're still going to the same goal of state championship, right?
Yep.
So
State
so
championship.
yeah, yeah. And so it's interesting. And then also calling people out. I
Hmm.
don't want people to get the wrong impression that you need to call
Hmm.
people out in public,
No,
right? There,
of course not.
even in basketball,
Hmm.
you pull someone to the side.
Pulling the
You're like, hey,
side.
my God,
How's it going? Are
Jeff,
you okay? Yeah.
I know you got a mid-range jumper. Why are you
Yeah.
trying to get threes all the time? Just stick with your mid-range jumper. We're gonna win these games. Now you pull him to the
Because
side.
I'm from the Bay and I idolize
Yeah,
Curry. I mean,
yeah, exactly, exactly. So everyone, but that sort of communication is not taught anymore, and people don't know how
right,
to communicate like
right,
that. So
right.
people just don't bring it up.
Yeah, yeah,
And then people talk with their colleagues. Like, can you believe Jeff keeps shooting threes? Like, come
yeah.
on, like why does he keep doing that? Doesn't he know? Instead of going, so there's a whole lot that
Man,
that
this is
isn't
good
taught.
stuff. We could take this snippet and actually use it for a corporate podcast. I think this would be
Yeah,
great
right.
feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But we have worked for great companies, and I think
We have.
there are companies that do it right. Probably the companies we're in now, because that's
There's
why we
plenty of
enjoy working
companies
for
that
them.
do it right. There's
Right. But
plenty of companies that do it right. I just
it
want
it comes
everyone
down
to
though
do it.
to communication, man. It
Yeah,
it
it
comes
does.
down to being able to communicate well, and trusting the folks around you. And I think if you
Yeah,
trust the folks around you, you can have those type of conversations. Like if you were to, I trust you. If you were to come to me, and even being we don't work for the same company, but be like, hey, I see an opportunity here, or here's some feedback. I trust that I would receive that well, So
ooh, trust. So how do you build trust, right? That's a
mhm. It's a whole
you know
nother.
that's a
We got
whole
to do a
nother.
spin-off of this conversation, man.
Yeah,
Like
like
we can have a subset.
building these building blocks of how to work with each other.
Yeah.
Just we'll just talk about sports the whole time.
Yeah. And sports analogies.
Yeah, yeah,
Sorry for all those who don't know what a cover 3 defense is there, but
yeah.
I'll
Right.
catch you up. Shoot me a DM. All right, so you're in high school. You've caught kind of wind of U.S. young kid, crazy social
Hmm.
norms. What are you thinking at this time in high school now? Sounds like you are, had some good academics behind you. It did well in
Oh
school.
yeah, I'll tell you a story.
Yeah.
I was school wasn't hard, right? You study, you
Mm-hmm.
take the test, you get the A. If you get the B, all right, cool. I skipped out. Sports was hard. Growing up in America, there's so many good natural athletes, and I'm not
Yeah.
a natural athlete, right? So I have to work just that much more harder.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my goal, honestly, my goal was to get a scholarship for basketball somewhere, right? Just
Nice.
anywhere. Doesn't matter to
Okay.
me, right? I think, I just
Mhm.
want to play basketball. I want to see where this goes. I was really
Mhm.
good.
Mm.
And then I ended up getting some scholarships to D2, D3 schools, but
Okay. Hey,
my
I love
mom,
that.
my mom's very old school Indian.
Mm.
She doesn't know what D2 or D3 is. So my mom sees letters comes in. She goes, are they gonna give you money for basketball? I'm like, it doesn't work like that, mom. She's like, why not? I always hear about people getting money. That's D1. She goes, okay. so you're not
Mhm.
good enough for D1? I'm like, oh, I
Oh,
guess not. Okay, so D2, what do you get? Some money, and they'll help you with this and that.
mm,
She goes, okay, cool. What kind of schools are these? She's like, so
mm,
I'm trying to explain to her a liberal arts
mhm.
school, and she's saying, I don't understand what's. And then I had to sit down and explain like, liberal arts is humanities or art and
Yeah,
education or history, and she just shut that down. She's just
yeah.
like, nope, like no way you're going to school for that. You're going to school for education. You're not that good in basketball. Let's be serious,
Man.
right? So, imagine being in
So pulling the
school.
carpet out from underneath you, really.
She was just a real. She didn't play. She
Kinda
was
like
like,
that.
your goal is go to school, the
Mhm.
best school you could get to, and not
Yep,
spend a lot of money.
yep.
Get a good education so you can get a good job.
Mhm.
And then I got into a couple good schools. So I got into Marquette, University of
Oh, dude.
Miami,
Oh,
Penn
okay.
State, and and then, but I didn't get as much money as I thought I was gonna get. So my parents were, we were
Mm,
kind of figuring out. So
mhm.
I chose NJIT because it was local, it was home. It
Yeah,
had a good engineering school, and then that happened, and
mhm.
then college
Now,
was just a whirlwind.
you knew you wanted to go for engineering? Like, when you were evaluating these schools
No,
was
my
okay.
parents just said engineering or doctor, pick one.
See, and this is another common thing, right? Our parents are like doctor,
Yeah,
nurse, maybe psychologist, but you gotta be a doctor of
yeah,
psychology, you know?
yeah.
So
Yeah, it was
common,
it was
common.
yeah, it was just pick one, and I and
En
I and I
engine
wish I
en
didn't.
engineering was your major then?
Yeah, so first year my
Mhm.
major was biomedical engineering.
Wow.
And then by the end of the year I switched majors to IT because I was saying no, this is not working.
It's a lot of
Um,
science.
and then also at the time when I was asking people on college
Mm,
that were older than me that were in the biomedical engineering halls. I'm like, oh, how much do you make? Do you
mhm,
make a lot of
mhm,
money? Do you love your job? What do you like about it? What
mhm,
don't you like about it? And all these seniors and all these people were saying, oh, there's not a lot of opportunity right now, so I have to go back to school for my doctorate, maybe later. So that kind of took me off.
mm,
Now it's a big job,
mm, mhm, mhm,
biomedical engineering. But at the time, people kind of the students there made me feel like I wasn't going to make any money, and
mm.
money was the factor, right? If I'm not going to make it to the NBA, I got to make money. And then
Yeah,
at the time, I heard about all these IT folks working at J.P. Morgan Chase, Citibank,
mm,
running data centers, just making guap, just money, right? I mean,
yep,
were their hours crazy? Yeah, their hours are crazy, but it sounded
of
like
course.
fun to me as a youngin working in New York City for a big bank,
Mhm,
running all their networks and all that stuff. So that's why I switched, but that
mhm.
explanation didn't make sense to my mother or father.
Yeah.
So that was an
Yeah.
interesting conversation.
And so at this point, then you kind of figured out what you want to do. You switched over to IT. You graduate college. Was this a point where you knew what you wanted? Sounds like the driving factor. Like, did you know what you wanted to do now in college, or
No,
was it still kind of figuring it out?
at the time, you're a college student, you start seeing, you know, everyone get jobs, and
Hmm.
at the time I don't know what I want. I don't like any of this. I hate
Mm,
everything, but I need
mm,
money. So I
mm,
went to career fairs and just gave out my resumes like it was hotcakes, had
hmm.
conversations, and
Career fairs, man. Do they still
yeah,
do that?
yeah. They do that in colleges. So my college
They
had
do.
career fair.
Mm,
I also joined the National Society of Black Engineers.
okay.
Why not? I
Why
also
not?
joined a Hispanic Society of Engineers, HOSHEP. That was another one. So I joined all these societies on campus because the
Hmm.
more people I knew, I figured the more opportunities I would get. So I used to go to all their career fairs and I would just
Hmm.
hand them out. And then um, I got a offer to work at some company called Computer Science Corporations in South Jersey, and they paid a lot of money. And I said, "All right, let's do
I'm
it."
in.
Yeah, I had no idea what I was doing at the time. I didn't even know. Do you know what SAP is?
Do know what
So
SAP is.
yeah, so I was on an SAP project for a government entity or something, and we were kind of modernizing all their databases and platforms to be
Yeah.
under one. And I
Yep.
was gonna learn SAP, and then I was stuck in some basement just editing Excel macros and
I
fixing
was gonna say
database
is
errors.
so I don't know SAP well enough to know if it was a standard back then or popular or was it just coming
I think
about?
it was just getting popular.
Okay, right.
Yeah,
It was.
yeah, yeah. That
Mhm.
now it's big.
Oh, it's huge.
Now it's everywhere, but
Mm.
it was so boring to me. Just sitting in a cubicle. So then there was a moment of
Mhm.
I just graduated college. I have this job. Am I gonna do this for the rest of my life where I sit in a cubicle?
Talk about this moment.
It was a moment where I was just
Mhm.
drinking a Red Bull. It's about 8 months in, and I'm thinking, I thought work was gonna be more exciting. I thought,
Yeah.
there
Well, it
was
has
gonna
to be,
be
right? I mean, you have
yeah,
to have that thought of like, I didn't do all of that to be doing this. And when I say all
right.
of that, it's the hustle of
Mhm.
figuring out how to fit in America,
Mhm.
letting go of like these dream colleges, right? And playing basketball, doing what I want to do more of like the academics to make sure I graduate. So it's like, this isn't it. This,
I
this
also
can't be
didn't
it.
fit in, right? So I
Yeah.
joined the company. There was folks way older than me, and then
Yeah.
all the younger folks kind of went home after and just did
Hmm.
their own thing and didn't like congregate after. And it was, maybe it was the wrong company, but
Hmm.
and then before this job, I worked at Accenture, and I went to
Hmm.
the Accenture offices, and you could see all the young, fresh out of college kids hanging out with
Hmm.
each other. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting there as a 36-year-old, like, damn, I wish I had this when I was young.
Yeah.
I messed up. Like I should enjoy
Oh, it does with
Accenture
you.
or yeah. So but you can only
Mhm,
look back so far. But it
mhm.
was good, and then eventually you pivot. That's the
So
one thing
yeah,
you
so
learn
what
how to do.
happens in that moment, or let's talk about the shift that happens in that time of thinking, this can't be it. What kind of pivots did you take, or knowing that, sounds like one of the drivers was definitely money, and I think it's money from the sake of, and I'm similar in this way of wanting to
Hmm.
provide better than those who come before me, because my parents worked so hard to drive me, knowing that they have every best intention that I could be great. And I think what some people don't realize is when we do come from families with, whether you're an immigrant or you
Hmm.
are second generation, a lot of the drivers of why we even do what we did, because it's very similar in my family, come from our parents pushing us to say this is what you're going to do. And so
Yeah.
we're worked really hard and put through the grinder, but then we become adults and we kind of figure out like, okay, I can do both a little bit. I can
Hmm.
have what I want and work hard. So I think with that context in mind, and just kind of setting up this question, what was it for you? Like, what did that pivot look like to kind of get to where you are today, or figure out just being in a place of actually enjoying what you do?
One of the privileges that I noticed that I have now that
Hmm.
allowed me to pivot is a good family structure.
Mm.
Because one of the things that I was able to do was quit my job and move in back in with my parents. And
Mm.
my parents were saying, okay, let's
Hmm.
figure it out,
Yeah.
And if I didn't have that, I guess that structure or that what I would say something to lean on,
Hmm.
which allowed me to figure it out, I wouldn't have been able to do that, and I would have been stuck in that for
Because
how
that's a big
long, right?
risk. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah,
quitting a
yeah,
job is a huge risk, and you're right. You have to have support.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think, real quick, just a little side question here. Did you see any failure in that, like moving back home with your parents?
No, 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 no. The lucky thing is because of my social network, I went to
Mm.
Facebook, and
Mm.
I said, "Does anyone have a job?" That's what I put in my post.
Yeah.
And because of my large social network that I amassed while I was in college, when
Mm.
Facebook came out, where you need to have a .edu
Yeah.
email address, right?
Yeah.
Someone pinged me right away, say, "Hey, come join
That's
Crestron."
awesome.
And I was in my parents' house.
Look at
What the hell is
That's an
Crestron?
amazing
Okay,
network, but because
yeah, yeah.
Crestron's huge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So then I applied and you know got the job, and it was right in
Mhm.
Jersey, so I was living with my parents.
Oh, awesome.
And then that worked out, and eventually everything just kind
Mhm.
of works into play. But
Mhm.
the fact that my parents were okay with me, and they wanted that. I
Yeah.
think that's a crazy thing about some cultures, where some cultures are like, no, get out of my house, don't come back in. Where in the
Mhm.
Indian culture, at least, I could say parents are okay with kids moving back in
Yeah.
to get their feet, get them
Yeah.
to
I love that.
figure out. Yeah. So that
Yeah.
that was the key. That and amassing my
Mhm.
social network and going on Facebook
So
and
you
then
got
saying,
amazing family support. You've built this incredible network. Would you say there was anything else in there that was like really um a foundation, or something that was really, I want to say pivotal, but I'm using the word pivot too much.
yeah,
Pivotal to your pivot,
just
you know?
just having faith in what I knew. I had no
Yeah.
idea what restaurant that interview. they asked me a question. Hey, what do you know about audiovisual? What have you done in your past?
Mm-hmm.
I plugged my HDMI cable from my PlayStation to my TV. I think my honesty
Mm-hmm.
of my capabilities
Yeah.
is something that's not seen a lot.
Mm.
If
Mm-hmm.
my wife asked me, "Hey, can you fix that?" Oh, hell no. I don't know how to do
Yeah.
that. Let's just call somebody.
I love that.
There's a lot of people, I think we were talking about this before this. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
people front on what they
Mm-hmm.
can do, and that'll
Mm-hmm.
eventually catch up to them.
Oh
Um,
yeah. Mm-hmm. I saw it
uh,
happen.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And I told the interviewer,
Mm.
"Give me 3 months and I will absorb everything here if it's
Heck
fun.
yeah. Heck
And
yeah.
I will learn and I will be
Mm-hmm.
your strongest asset
Yep.
for your department." My self-advocating
Mm-hmm.
for my ability to learn was
Mm-hmm.
better than self-advocating for the skills I didn't have at that time that they were looking
Mm-hmm.
for.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
that's
I think
something everyone needs to have.
that goes to say, I mean, I rather hire somebody who's really honest and willing than versus someone who's fronting and it's going to catch up later, you know? So
There's a
that's,
lot of fronting.
I love, I love that. All right. So now at this part of the show, I love to just reintroduce you. Can you tell us what you do today? What's your role? And, it'll be a great way to kind of get to some of these last questions here. But what do you do now?
Yeah, so I'm a senior solutions consultant for Jabra and
Nice.
Channel. The Channel
Hmm.
is where you convince sellers to sell your specific product to their clients if no one's ever
Yep.
heard of the Channel. And I'm really the technical liaison for the video products for my sales team, but
Mhm.
I'm also some people call me the personality hire. Um,
Yeah,
I go to
put some
I go
amazing
to events.
content out there.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I've landed at a company where everyone uses this term being your authentic self is
Mhm,
okay. And some
mhm.
people don't feel like they can be. And I've landed at a company where I do feel like I'm at my authentic self and
I love it.
I
I love
bring all
that.
that.
And
Yeah.
Sharath is being super humble right now when he says he is the personality that I can't think of Jobber and not think of Sharath. And when he's at these shows, I kid you not, people just gravitate towards this guy, and he is very personable, super kind, and good-hearted. He leads panels. We've got the host. There's big hosts of these shows and companies that put these on. They're asking him to be a part of panels. This guy's been on more panels than I've even had the opportunity to
It's
be asked to be a part of.
the funny part is sometimes that's the hard part is I still have imposter syndrome. People ask
Yeah,
me to do stuff and what you think I know enough about that subject?
yeah.
I'm like, yeah, 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 just yeah. So
No,
it's
but you know what you're talking about, and I think that's why people love to have you because you're real, you're authentic, and
thank you, appreciate that.
you are very well versed in being a audio visual person. Because there's some people that are not. Let's
Hmm.
just be honest.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's take your qualities. But man, so we were having a great conversation before we started the podcast, before I hit record, and I think some of that might fall in here. But I would love to ask you and especially for those listening, I think a lot of the audience that we get are young professionals or are folks in college trying to figure out what they want to do in life. And I would say, what is the best piece of advice that you would either give your younger self that you do differently or do the same, or someone listening to say, hey man, I just really don't have this figured out? What do you think would be that word of wisdom that you would give somebody in a position like that?
the ability to just take a breath and really understand what you actually like to do.
Mm.
So obviously, I didn't make it to the NBA, but
Yeah.
my parents and the people around me, my family,
Mm-hmm.
have now always come to me as the expert in body injuries, meaning ankles and knees and backs, and I've gotten really good at therapy for those. My calling to be a physical therapist I missed because I didn't understand at the time when I would get hurt in high school and how I would wrap my ankle up myself
Yeah.
or help my teammates with their
Mm.
taping or their physical therapy exercises. So I didn't realize that I enjoyed that. Not that I
Yeah.
don't enjoy my job now, but that could have been an
Mm-hmm.
avenue that I could have
Mm.
went down.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many different jobs. There's so many different ways that you can make money,
Yes.
and it's up to you to try a little bit of everything. just to see if it kind of piques your interest. And
Mhm.
then if it piques your interest, see where it goes. And then if it
Mhm.
keeps going farther, see where it goes. Then
Mhm.
the key piece after your interest is piqued
Mhm.
is finding people that are in that interest and
Yeah.
talking to them and socializing with them and asking them questions.
How do you find those people though? Let's say I wanted to be a carpenter and I really
Carpenter,
enjoy
yeah.
using my hands. How do I know nothing about it. How do I start finding those people who are,
In
you
the
know,
world of social media, it's the easiest thing ever. One
yeah.
of the things I use all the time to learn, Reddit. You go to Reddit, you can
Mm,
find any um, group out there that's willing to
mm,
help you to learn more about a subject. If it's not Reddit, there's a Facebook group for it. If
yep.
there's not a Facebook group for it, there's an app for it. So recently I learned an app called Meetup.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so it's an app where it's for adults. It's
Mhm.
pretty much similar to Facebook, but just with getting together for events in person.
Okay. The
So
goal is
let's say,
to meet
yeah,
up.
meet up. So you create your profile, you put what your interests are, health and wellness, startup, fashion, marketing, tech, and then it'll start saying, hey, there's an event of something that you're interested in that you can go to here.
Oh, sick.
So one thing I do now with my
Mhm.
wife and I is we're parents of a 2-year-old, and we're always trying to figure out every weekend how to keep our daughter occupied.
Yeah, man.
The
Same boat.
easiest thing that we've done, go to Facebook, go to the Facebook moms group. They got events for days.
You're putting me on game right now.
They list calendar events for the whole month. You
Yeah.
figure out, all right, do you want to go to this
Mhm.
town fair this week? Oh, they have
Yeah.
a flea market here. Oh, there's an
Yeah.
outdoor thing here. So the internet is such an easy tool. Or
Mhm.
you go to something that specializes in what you do. You like woodworking? Go to Home
Mhm.
Depot. Go hang out
Mhm.
by the wood aisle for a bit. Go hang out by the tool aisle for a bit and just look
Yeah.
lost, right?
Yeah.
There is somebody out there that say, hey, you look a little lost. You know how many times I've looked lost in a Home Depot aisle that people just gave me unsolicited advice that I'm so
Yeah.
thankful of? Yeah.
Mhm.
So
I
there's
think what
it.
I love about what you're saying is there's gotta be you gotta put yourself out there. And I
Hmm.
think for those listening, one is, okay, you have something that is a general passion of yours. You have to go out and find it. And you're saying that there are easy channels to do it, whether that's joining through a group or being as brave as putting yourself in a Home Depot aisle, looking
Hmm.
lost, having somebody, say, "Well, what can I help you with?" And then maybe it's like, "Hey, I was really helpful. I'm into woodworking. Like, would it be cool to like stay in contact?" Like,
Yeah.
oh, that art is lost, I think,
Hmm.
today
It is.
with how digitally advanced we are. We stay behind this wall of a screen, but I think you gotta put yourself out there and start developing some personal skills. So I love
That's
that
a
you bring
skill
it
that's
out.
not taught in schools,
Yeah,
and it's missed. And then that skill is so useful at work
man.
because that is how you start creating a culture of
Mhm.
people creating bonds based on
Mhm.
their passions.
Mhm.
So I always ask people, hey, what'd you do this weekend? Just chill. I'm like, all right, what do you do when you chill? Do this and that, work on my car. Oh, you like cars. What kind of car you have? Oh, I had this Chevy 67. Oh, you a car person,
Yeah.
right? And then right? So with that art,
Mhm.
there's so many things that companies do to create this fake
Mhm.
culture.
Mhm.
And I believe you don't
Doesn't
need
have
to
to
create
be.
a fake culture.
No, it doesn't have
Just
to be.
create an environment
Mhm.
where people can talk. Do you know one
Mhm.
of the coolest things college has? Club fairs. Why don't companies have club fairs?
Yeah. Yeah. Or why doesn't a company have a club?
Imagine going to the office once a
Mhm.
month and there's just tables, woodworking table, car table, basketball table, tennis
Man,
table, and you just walk around just like in college. Oh, I want to
find your
sign up.
community. Find your community because there's probably more people than you know at the work that have so much in common with you and what
And
you're
people will
doing.
come into the office because that's the
Mhm.
thing everyone's trying to solve, right? How
Bring
do
you
you
back.
get people into the office? All right, well, just use your space
Yeah.
to get people to talk to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I
would be
love that.
so much fun.
I think the follow-up question and probably where I want to land this plane is if you are trying to advance in your career, if you're so let's give it to the other side of the coin. I'm at a place and I am trying to make moves. What would you say is the best what is that best piece of advice you give somebody who's trying to actually further in their career? What should they do?
The the only way to do that, honestly, is to find people that are already in the place that you want to be at,
Mm-hmm.
and
That's
ask
good.
them how they got there. Hey, what
That's
did you
good.
do? It's simple.
Mm-hmm.
Why not ask people?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone is open to give
Mm-hmm.
advice most of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
go on LinkedIn, go on Facebook. Hey, I just noticed you're the vice president of blah blah blah. How long did it take for you to become a VP? What did you have to do? What trainings
Mm-hmm.
did you have to take? What courses did you go to school for your MBA? If you do go for an MBA, what did you focus on?
Mm-hmm.
So you can research on the internet for as long as you want, but
Yeah.
you're never gonna get the real raw. I went through this to get here, because those
Mm-hmm.
stories are normally written on the internet. The stories on the internet are stories of the loudest people.
Yeah.
And the stories you need to hear are from the people that aren't the loudest, which only happens in person.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you hear their stories, you learn. I'm at the point where in my career, what do I want to do? 10 years ago, I wanted to be a CTO of a company.
Okay.
Now I'm saying I don't want to be no CTO. With my
True.
responsibilities, I'm good with what I do. I'm good with
Yeah.
where I am now, and then that's not my goal anymore. My goal
Mm-hmm.
is, how do I support my wife in what she's doing? How do I
Mm-hmm.
support my daughter to be greater? My
Mm-hmm.
goals have changed, where it was about me and now it's about them. And sometimes people can't. That's how my brain is wired. But a lot of entrepreneurs' brains are not wired. Like my wife, she's an entrepreneur. She has her own company.
Oh,
She's
sick.
doing her thing. Everything that she does, I get anxiety, because she's a risk taker. She'll take projects on, and then she'll
Mm-hmm.
just get it done last minute, and I'm throwing up in the bathroom for her. So there are people like that, but for me, what I do, because of how I am, I'm not a risk taker. I'm a researcher. I do my internet research. There's so
Mm-hmm.
many things out there. You go on
Mm-hmm.
LinkedIn groups, and then I just find people. You go to
Mm-hmm.
these events I go to. Jeff, work at Opcore now. How did you get, and these
Mm-hmm.
things just kind of come into play.
Follow.
And then the idea also is to be vulnerable, to have a
Mhm.
conversation after the first time.
That's it too. The follow up, the personal
hmm
connection and follow up
hmm
is
Not a lot of
a
people do the follow up.
yeah. I'm hearing a common theme, like putting yourself out there, making personal connection, and then consistency. You know.
Consistency is one of the things I've learned as an adult in the last 5 years. Is consistency is the key to getting anything
Mm-hmm.
done,
Mm-hmm.
or getting
Mm-hmm.
what you want to do.
Yeah.
You want followers on social media, you have to consistently post twice a
Yep.
week or three
Yep.
times a week. Oh,
Yep.
you want to get better at basketball, you need to consistently wake up at 5:30 in the morning and do shots.
Yep.
You want to lose weight, you need to consistently go to the gym and consistently eat well.
Yeah.
Consistency,
Is key.
I wish I learned when I was younger. I
Yeah.
really do. That wasn't a skill I attained when I was younger, and
Mm-hmm.
I only attained that in the last 5 years.
Yeah. I'm
After I got married. That's a crazy thing, right?
well, our wives will keep us accountable. Let's be
I
honest.
know that is so
So
funny. As soon as I get married, I
yeah,
start realizing
yeah. Well,
consistency
because you
is the
got
key.
somebody living with you that's on your case. Like,
Oh,
Jeff,
that's
pick up those
funny.
socks.
Yeah, that's
Man,
funny.
what an amazing conversation, bro. I'm very thankful for what you've shared because it's really important, and especially in the age that we're living in, whether you have seasoned vets who are listening to this conversation and the willingness for them to be open for when a younger generation would come to them and ask for advice, and seeing that someone is being vulnerable to put themselves out there, to give them, the time of the day. And I think for a younger generation to say, hey, I can't hide behind a computer screen or behind a DM. Like, it's actually about using your voice and getting out there and having a conversation with real people. And so much more in this. I can't wait to break it down and for everyone to listen. Thanks so much for coming on.
Appreciate you. This was fun.
Yeah,
Sometimes you meet people in life that remind you you are doing okay.
you're
You
doing
know,
an amazing job,
yeah,
dude.
yeah. So appreciate
Hmm.
you for just
Hmm.
just seeing that, because
Hmm.
sometimes I get to a place where, am I doing enough?
No.
Am I smart? So appreciate you,
Yeah.
man. Thanks a lot for
Yeah,
having me.
yeah, absolutely. All right, stay tuned. If you're watching this live, he's got a amazing Michael Jordan poster back there. The GOAT. Is that your GOAT of basketball? We'll kind of leave it with
Yep.
this last question. Yep, gotta
That's
be.
the goat. Yeah, that's actually an art rendition made by this group called Super Poor Kids in New Jersey,
Oh,
South
sick.
Jersey. Yeah,
Shout
I
out to
try.
Super Poor Kids.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So they
Mhm,
got some good stuff, but yeah,
mhm.
Jordan is the goat to me.
Nice. If people want to connect with you, where do they find you?
I'm on Instagram,
Mhm.
Sharath S Abraham, LinkedIn, Sharath S Abraham, X Sharath S Abraham, Threads, Sharath S Abraham. So
Dope.
you just
Yep.
just look Sharath Abraham. You can find me.
Awesome. Appreciate that, man. All right, everyone, stay tuned. We'll see you next week. Or I shouldn't even put out that cadence. We'll see you next time on Pros and Cons. Appreciate you. See ya.